Cheating is all about self. It means I want what I want at the expense of your pain, dismantling your heart, or dismantling this marriage or relationship. And women just don't like to hear this, and I'm okay with that. But when men come in my office, they usually don't come in and say, I cheated. Men usually come in, and when they are in a one-on-one safe space, they will say, but you laid that shit down from the beginning. You run these plays, contract is gone, bruh. It's gone. You ain't even on the sidelines. There's no locker room talk. Bye.
As someone who has counseled men who have openly admitted to you that they've cheated on their wives or they're currently cheating on their partners, I would love to know what behind closed doors that you've heard is the reason that men actually cheat, that they can go from, I love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, to them breaking their hearts, betraying their trust, and then cheating on their partner.
Cheating is, and I'm going to use a trigger word, get ready, it's a narcissistic trait. Let me be clear on this. Narcissistic traits does not mean you are narcissistic. You can have depressive symptoms and not be depressed. You can have anxiety moments and not have anxiety. So when I say it's a narcissistic trait, why do I say that? Because cheating is all about self. It's all about what does it do for me? It has nothing to do with the lack or the deficit of the partner or the relationship. It means I want what I want at the expense of your pain, dismantling your heart, or dismantling this marriage or relationship. And if we have kids, guess what? I don't even care how it affects them. Because cheating, when you are in a family dynamic, whether you're married or not, it affects every single moving part in that dynamic. And so it is one of the most narcissistic things people can do. It's also a direct reflection of how broken or dismantled somebody is within themselves, because commitment starts with self before I can even give that to you. And commitment is doing what I said I would do regardless of how I feel. Now, narcissistic is very emotionally driven. We know that. And so if I can regulate my emotions to keep my commitment to you, then guess what? I don't step out on what I committed because I'm able to regulate my emotion. Cheating, if we're talking about, let's just go sexual for a moment, right? That is all emotionally driven. It's an appetite that I have that inflames, that takes over me and consumes me that I can't regulate. And so if I can't regulate my emotion, that means I don't have the discipline. And I always say that marriage is for disciplined people. And so if I don't have the discipline to say, I have an appetite to step outside this relationship and cheat in any form that I know would dismantle my partner, my kids, and this family, then that is an issue within myself, not you.
Ooh, okay, that is a very powerful stance from someone as a professional that can look at someone like that and say, this is why they're doing it. So now take me behind the scenes when they're telling you what are the reasons and excuses they're giving. And you said it comes from a brokenness. How can we identify those brokenness so that maybe we don't commit to someone that ends up being broken, that ends up breaking our hearts?
Love this. Women tend to fall in love with who the man is in that moment, and who she, keyword, she, not who he promises to be, who she believes, or she clothes with her fairy tale ideology, he will become. That means I fall in love with who he is and the potential, or the fairy tale ideology of him. Okay, women are not falling in love with the results that their man has already presented. A man who procreates and creates broken families is a man who procreates and creates broken families. So if you know that's the result that he breeds, that means that you chose that result when you chose that man. So women who come in and think, hey, listen, I'm going to take this man. He's had, let's just say, multiple divorces. He's been a womanizer in his past for the entirety of his life. This man has not done right by any woman. He's shared that with me. He's expressed that with me through our dating ship. But I believe that I'm different, that he can love me differently, that I can come in and be powerful and shift and change this man. That is a woman who is living in her fairy tale ideology. That is a woman who is going to set herself up for letdown and heartbreak. Because the only thing that we can promise somebody is what we've already produced. You have nothing else to vet me with. So anything that you place on me that's futuristic is your stuff. not mine. But let me go further. If a man hasn't kept his promise to previous relationships, wives, if he hasn't kept it to kids, if he hasn't kept it to those, that means he's not keeping it to himself. If you think that anybody's going to give you more than they give themselves, you are completely setting yourself up for dismantling. It doesn't happen like that. And so when men come in my office, interesting enough, they usually don't come in and say, I cheated because. I'm being honest. Men usually come in and when they are in a one-on-one safe space, they will say, it's not her, it's me. I find more men accountable than women. I've been in this field for 17 years.
So if a man cheats, he's more accountable than if a woman cheats?
When a woman cheats, she'll say, you stop loving on me. You stop sending me flowers. You stop being affectionate. You stop calling me after work. After I had the baby, you were no longer attracted to me. You stopped telling me I was beautiful. You don't try to make love to me anymore. You know what a man says? It's not her fault. Now, listen, ladies, I advocate for us. I stand on my square for us, but I also believe in bringing the correct factual awareness so that we have what we need to be in our power and see things differently and be better within ourselves. And let me tell you, and this is the deal, for some of them, that is accountability. And for some of the other men, let me go there. It is a womanizing trait. It is his way of manipulating to say, I don't want to cause you more pain than I know I'm already causing you. So I'm not going to cheat on you and then blame you. Do you see the two different parties? One is, you did nothing, Lisa. I really am accountable. The other one is, I knew from the beginning this was going to dismantle you. Now that you're sitting before me dismantled, I don't want to cause you more pain and tell you it's you. Because men are problem solvers. Women are emotionally driven. Men are saying, if solving this problem means I just take accountability, what do you think they're going to do? It's my fault. I did it. Does that make it go away?
No.
That's why I said some are taking accountability because that's just really their authenticity of what they believe. Others are doing it from a manipulative angle, meaning, Lisa, if it shuts you up, if it makes it go away, then guess what? You didn't do anything. It's me. Blame me. But that's also what? That is a symptom and a trait of a womanizer. That's what that is. Because if I can just take accountability to shut you up, to make it go away, then you can help me deflect from what I need to be accountable for. And what happens then? Most of the time, women will sign up for, but he is accountable. Which means what? He does want to work on it. But let me tell you this. A dog is a dog if they're in the small dog park or the big dog park. And just because he don't bark for 5 years, does that mean he's not a dog? If we have a cute little Yorkie in here, and that Yorkie only barks when the doorbell rings, does that make that Yorkie not a dog until the doorbell rings? So every time the doorbell rings, we what? We're reminded that what? Oh, we got a dog in the house. So women will stay with the dog and say, I hope that next time he either takes longer to bark or never barks. And they end up in this pathology. And what happens is being with a dog becomes their norm. So then they start to feed the dog. They start to attempt to then love the dog, all while they are what? Losing themselves, starving themselves, and becoming a deficit to themselves. And that's how women lose themselves. Because I am learning how to love a dog at the expense of what? Me becoming the dog sitter. You're not going to train a dog. At least you're not going to train it not to be a dog, not to bark, not to want a bone, not to want a treat. Does it mean people doesn't change? It doesn't mean they don't change. What it means is it's back to emotional regulation. When my appetite inflames, do I have the discipline to dissipate and regulate that at which I know is going to dismantle myself and everything else involved? It's all about regulating. And a woman is already broken when she chooses brokenness. Law of attraction is that you attract who you are despite of who you think you are. So broken people are choosing broken people because the only way that you keep brokenness alive is to feed it with what it is, brokenness. Which, if a relationship creates an unsafe environment, what does it activate in any of us? Fight or flight, trauma response, pain. Pain in a relationship is turmoil. It's hostility. Because that's what pain is. Pain is not pretty. It's ugly. And so we're going to get ugly in here if all we have in our relationship is pain. We don't know anything else. And for a lot of women, to their defense, when you're fatherless, your norm becomes that of what you've never had. And so when you're trying to navigate what does a relationship look like with a man, and you're in a blank tableau, a blank canvas, you don't know. And so you're going into these relationships waiting for whoever you choose, any, mini, mighty, mo, is usually how fatherless women choose men, because they don't know, to their defense. You choose any, mini, or mo, you start to make that relationship be your norm. And for a lot of women who don't have a guiding system, they become prey to womanizers. They become prey to men who prey on women they can manipulate. And so they don't know the signs. They don't know what to look for. And this is why I advocate so for families and men to be present in the lives of their kids. And I advocate against the broken homes and broken families, because a woman is what her daddy makes her. And if he makes you a woman who has a dysfunctional norm or a deficit, then what do you think you're choosing to fill the emptiness? A man who knows how to keep you empty, because subconsciously your norm is deficit. Deficit means I don't feel lovable, which then does what? Teaches this person how to love someone who is deeply rooted in dysfunction.
Okay, that was so beautifully put. Now can we ground it into, like, let's say a real world scenario? So you had actually said broken women choose broken men. So let's say a woman's listening right now. She doesn't even necessarily think of herself as broken. And she's just like, but doc, I go out with this guy. I feel like I've done some work on myself. I feel like I have some self-esteem. And he tells me all the things. He tells me he loves me. He tells me he wants to be with me forever. I trust him. And then I find out he's been cheating on me with all these different women. How do we navigate the reality of what has just happened with understanding that it's our choice not to blame, but to then give ownership? Self-ownership is the biggest thing in my life. Like, I freaking love self-ownership. So while I'm sure some of the audience watching right now actually doesn't like that, it's making them feel really uncomfortable, I'm all about how do women take their power and never give it away. And so your message and everything that you say is so empowering. So please keep being honest with me. Even if I feel like you are blaming me, I want to take the ownership.
Totally.
But how do we start to do that in a scenario like that where I feel like I've done the work? The guy says I can trust him, and then he goes and cheats on me.
Totally. So first of all, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion too, I'm sure.
All right, guys, we'll be right back with this insanely powerful episode with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. But just for 1 second, if this or any other Women of Impact episode has brought you value, please smash that subscribe button down there. You have no idea how much that really does become the freaking calling card to all women out there, that this is the place, this is the community that you can be a part of, where we have each other's backs, where you can feel safe to be yourself with zero judgment. You can build your boundaries, you can build your self-esteem and your confidence right here with this community. So guys, smash that subscribe button down there. Thanks for listening. Now, back to the episode.
So, first of all, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion too, I'm sure, a woman who chooses a man who, what you describe, has manipulative ways, and she doesn't see them, means that she already came in powerless. Because power means I have the ability to trust my spirit, trust my discernment about who I'm dating. When we act out of despair, we miss red flags. When we act out of power, everything becomes present and we're clairvoyant to things. Women can go to dinner with a man and date a man and say, I don't see signs, but something feels off. And they usually will continue to date the man based off what they see, not based off what they feel. That is a woman who is not in her power. Because a woman in her power says, something's off. I trust me over what I see in him. Because trust is not about the woman trusting the man. It's about her trusting herself. Power is, let me not lie to myself and tell myself he's a husband, knowing I'm only going to get a night of passion out of him. Power is standing in your truth. How many people in general, men and women, are not standing in the truth of what they want, especially women with societal constructs that say, if you're not married, your value is at a deficit. If you go on a date with a man and all you want is companionship, but you don't want anything serious, what kind of woman are you? It says if you're a woman and you have 2 or 3 beautiful kids from your divorce, now you're a damaged woman, now you have weight, now you have baggage. But what if that woman who's a divorcee says, listen, Lisa and Doc, honestly, I just want good trips, some good lovemaking, and a good damn time. So what am I saying is standing in your power as a woman means identifying who the hell you are, where you want to be, where you want to go, despite the outside chatter. Stand on that square and watch everything in the room move to align with you. Too many women are walking in a room. This my camera?
Yeah.
Too many women are walking in a room saying, where's the chair? Where's my seat? When you are in your power, you walk in the room, you say nothing. You watch everything, the table and the chairs move to exactly what's in alignment with where you belong. You don't ask those type of questions. And nor are you looking or not looking for a man to have a red or green flag. You're looking for the experience that it gives you. So when you go home, you say, what did we get from that? Because the things that are going to happen are going to happen. It's how do we approach, deal, handle, learn, experience those things. And let's go further. You know, whatever you're seeking is seeking you. So whatever you're looking for, you will find. This is why I said broken women choose broken men subconsciously. You will attract what you're calibrating. Calibration is an internal thing. And so it's not their fault for wanting to trust someone's word. Wanting to trust this person can be as good as I believe I am. But what I am saying is if you want to know how broken you are, look at what you're choosing. So I cannot choose a man who abuses me, stay with him for 5, 10, 15 years and say, Lisa, he's been abusing me for 15 years, and sit here and tell you that I'm not broken, that I'm a powerful woman. Now, I can say I did not have the power to leave. I did not have the tools to navigate my brokenness. But I can't tell you as a woman, I allowed that for some time. But I am a healed woman. And now when I say healed, it's not being perfect. Because heal is something you continuously do. You're never at a place of healing. We arrive over and over again. A woman like myself, I would never stay in a relationship after a man slapped the shit out of me. Does that make the woman who stayed any less than me? Hell no. Absolutely not. Why am I saying I wouldn't stay? Because I would identify that as totally against everything that I stand for. Because there's nothing in me broken enough that would receive that as love, would receive that as okay. That would be the ultimate disrespect to everything that I stand for. So the reason why I'm saying it's not her fault, but it's her responsibility is the better word, to say, hold on, where at in me aligns with manipulation? Where at in me aligns with abuse? Where at in me aligns with a man who is committed to everything but me, but I'm committed to nothing but him? That is a broken woman. Whether she wants to admit it or not, whether she wants to get mad or not, I don't care. You have to be able to take self-inventory, and the number one way to do it, and I love that you asked this question because this is the number one way to do it when you're in a place of saying, Doc, I'm a good woman. I just want a good man. This shit is getting too deep. I just want a good man. Is take inventory by saying, but what am I choosing And what do I get from the men that I'm choosing? Because exactly what you get, the experience, the substance, is exactly what is feeding something in you. And once you take inventory on what you're choosing, I want you to associate it to what it's feeding in you. Because then now you're taking the breadcrumbs to the loaf of where you're broken at. And let me say this, we're all broken. I'm still broken in places. The only difference with me is I'm able to go, whoa, that had to be my broken self that chose this.
Oh, so you can see it, whereas most of us can't.
The ones who have not done the work, the ones who are in that space of what you said, and I love that you said that because what you said represents a lot of women. The ones who say, I just want it to be loved. I'm just a young, naive woman. Yeah, but are you really naive? Or have you learned how to deflect from the self-work? And I gotta go a little further. Women will choose a man out of despair who they know is not good for them, and then use naivety as a way to allow themselves to stay in that relationship. And this is why, and I'm not trying to sound, again, like I don't have grace, because I promise you, I lead with grace and compassion. But part of having grace and compassion in loving somebody is also helping them see themselves, to say, wait a minute, your naivety is your way of shielding yourself so you don't see the things in this man that would make you have to make a big girl decision to leave him. No, we can't do that. We can't operate from that powerless space. So if naive is what you want to lead with, fine. Then let's pull back the naive lens. Let's pull back the blinds. Let's open this up. Let's turn the lights on, because naive means the lights are off. I don't really see that there's a pillow here. Okay, turn the lights on. There's a pink pillow. There's me. Let's look at this. Let's take inventory. A lot of people sit with the lights off because they don't want to see the real shit that's in the inventory that they have to take. I'm not going to allow that, because the work is showing you it may not be as bad as you thought it was, Lisa. You may see a cup of Diet Coke and just need to pour it out and fill it up with juice. We make things worse than what it is when we refuse to see ourselves. The only person we got to see is us.
Coming up.
How about we figure out how to help her navigate her emotions so that cheating, leaving, or staying becomes secondary to her self-love?
This is really hard talk.
It is.
And I appreciate it, because I went from the woman that was saying that she was naive. Right. Her boyfriend wasn't kind to her. He was very manipulative, found out he was cheating on her. Like that is all true.
Yeah.
How did I become the woman I am today? It's the freaking hard stuff. It's tell me the thing that stings my ego so damn much that's going to smack me metaphorically awake. Dude, these are the types of conversations, and this is why I so wanted to bring you on, because I knew you're going to be controversial. I knew that some of my community were being like, I don't like this woman. I think she's wrong. But here's the thing, from experience, the metaphorical slap in the face is what I needed to build my confidence that no one ever freaking took my power away again.
Period.
So let me just establish that. So thank you. I am not saying it from a place of powerless. I'm actually saying it from a place of power.
Come on, Lisa.
That I want to hear why I'm naive. Okay, so now let's say you're a woman. You're acknowledging everything we're saying. How do you switch the lights on if you're in a relationship, you've just found out your partner's cheated on you, they promise you they're never going to do it again, they give you all the reasons, I'm going to do the work, I'm going to go to therapy, I promise you. In that moment, how do you make sure that you're not naive, that you switch the lights on and you really see what's happening? And then the second part is, do you think someone can actually change, or do you think once a cheater, always a cheater?
So people's behaviors can change. How they're built and who they are does not change. It's back to that regulating and having awareness of when who you were created a behavior and action that created a result that did not serve you. It's that awareness of saying, I'm doing that thing again. So before I let that internal thing externalize, let me check it. Let me self-check or self-regulate myself. So my appetite for anything is always going to be present, even if it only shows up once a year, once every 6 months. It shows up. People who love ice cream and they diet and they work out and they lost all this weight, they still crave ice cream.
So in that analogy, it's another woman, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And women just don't like to hear this, and I'm okay with that. But will he still have an appetite to be with a woman outside of you? Yes. Can he learn to regulate and be disciplined and not act on it? Yes. Are the odds higher that he will act on it again than not? Absolutely fucking yes. And I'm not gonna lie to no woman. I am proud woman. I'm not gonna lie to us. Okay? More than likely he will do it. Does it mean?
I have a quick stat actually.
Yeah.
So Psychology Today said that if you've cheated before, then you're 3 times more likely to do it again.
I just need the camera to hear right here. That's it. Because y'all be thinking I'm crazy or I'm just being mean. I am telling you the truth because I want people, especially women, in healthy relationships. We deserve to be healthy and loved. But I want to say this. Does it mean you got to leave them? No. Does it mean you have to go cheat on him too? No. But I say this all the time. It means you have to learn to love a different man. My client said, Doc, do you think I'm done for staying? No, not at all. Well, what do you think? Should I leave? I said, can you learn to love a dog? Can you learn to love a cheater? Can you learn to love someone who you know is deceptive? If you can learn to love him and you want to stay that bad, baby, let's work. Because my job on this side in my sessions as a doctor is not to project onto you. It's to love you, facilitate you, and get you where you want to go with no judgment. So if you want to stay with him, then I want to make sure y'all can be healthy. That means that you have to learn to love a man who you know has already deceived you. And based on the studies and based on my theory, who will deceive you again. And if you're going to stay, you got to have a transparent conversation with him that says, baby, listen, didn't know, but now I know who I married. And I don't want to leave you. So miss me with the, you ain't going to do it again. Miss me with all that because I don't want to get caught up in your promises that are already broken. But what I will ask is this. I want to help you structure so that in the event you can't regulate your appetite, because more than likely that time will come, that you do it in a way that won't dismantle me. Now you're going to have a group of women that say, Doc, that sounds crazy. It sounds like you're sitting there condoning for the man to do it. Well, you're condoning it by staying. So if you're going to stay, why not create an environment that at least doesn't take you out? If I'm going to stay with you, and I know that at some point you are going to dismantle me again, Lisa, even as a friend, I'm going to say, Lisa, listen, I'm not in a place to leave you, but I'm going to tell you this much. When you do that thing that you did, you better do it like this. Because it's not you that is causing me agony. It's that thing that you do when you do it. Right? So let's figure out how you can do that and it doesn't disturb this household. It doesn't disturb these kids. It doesn't cause impairment here. And I'm not condoning it and I'm not okay with it. But I'm also not eclipsed to who you are.
Explain the eclipse.
Eclipse is trauma eclipse us, despair eclipse us, naivety eclipse us. It covers us up from seeing what we need to see so that we can be in our power. You have some people who would rather be eclipsed so that they can be in their happy bubble. I don't knock them either. I don't knock them either. I say the power is knowing what you need so that you can thrive in what you have chose. The woman who says, I know who I'm with, he's cheated. I'm hoping he doesn't do it again. But I'm also learning how to love a man who deceived me. Is no better or worse than the woman who says, I told him I don't want to know anything. keep me in my happy bubble, keep me over here thriving, don't you disturb this household, you keep that shit out there. Those are two women who both want to be loved. They both want to be healthy, and they both want what we all deserve. Respect, honoring, and a healthy damn relationship. They are just figuring out that two different dynamics work for two different women, but no one is better. Maybe I don't want to know things, or maybe I want to know everything. But we have to know as women, what do we want based on how it serves us, and not judge ourselves for choosing that at which works for us. How do I stay and still provide myself and him a great experience, a great quality of life, while I identify I don't like these things, but I still love these things? So while we work on the things we don't like, can we still spend time in the things that we love so the relationship has balance? We're hyper-focused on one or the other. So either he's a great man or he ain't shit. We ain't got no in between. Mm-hmm. Versus men go, that's my wife. That's my wife. Oh, that's my wife. She's evolved, she's changed, she's losing weight, she's gaining weight. She wants to do a different hairstyle, she's in a different career, she's had kids. That's my wife. And a lot of times, it is the man's responsibility 100% to communicate with us their needs or when things have shifted in ways that don't work for them. But we're also in the relationship, and it is also our responsibility to check in. Babe, what's up? What is it that you need? And what works? But to the point of the cheating man, I'm happy you had that study because, yeah, and this is why I've taken my time getting married, honestly. Because I'm not exempt. I've made great decisions my entire life. I beat a lot of statistics coming from where I came from. That doesn't make me exempt from being any of these statistics that I've already beat. A divorcee, a baby mama, doesn't exempt me. But in my choosing, because I'm not leaving my husband, I want to make sure I'm choosing somebody that when, because he falls short, will I want to still learn how to love the new him?
That's what I was going to ask you, because you're not married currently, just to make sure people know.
Yeah.
So you're saying when I get married, there won't be a divorce.
I'm not leaving.
You're not leaving. I've heard you say that
I can't say he won't leave.
Right.
I'm not leaving.
So let's assume that you find somebody, you get married, and then he ends up cheating on you. Mm-hmm. You've done all the work. You've done the internal, what you're worth. You've had the open
Lisa's trying to start some shit already.
I like to give the hard examples, right? Because you can't, even with all the work that you do, you can't control somebody else. All. And so there might be a situation where a guy tells you, he promises you, and then he goes and cheats on you. In that moment, what do? You can make yourself feel bad. You can make your self-esteem will plummet. Your self-worth can plummet. But let's just make it even harder. Yeah. You've done that work.
Yeah.
And you get married, and you specifically have said, I won't divorce. What would you do?
Yeah. One, I'm going to be dismantled. I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to be completely dismantled. Not because I'm arrogant enough to think, again, that a man can't cheat on me. I am not exempt from that. I hope, like all the rest of you women, it doesn't happen, but I'm not exempt from that. I'd be dismantled because it would be, like most of us, one of the biggest things that we all want to avoid. And it's not just the act, it's the deception of it.
Oh yeah. Every woman says it's the deception. Almost every man I've heard though, it's the physical, the guy put his penis in my wife.
Yeah.
But the woman, it's he lied to me.
Yeah. I'd be 100% dismantled. I would definitely end up in my sessions with my therapist once a week, twice a week instead of once a month like now, because I would have to learn how to process and really feel and deal with my resentment and my strong desire to get his ass back. I'm just being honest. The vindictiveness that would come in me, I'd have to work through that. And I don't know if I would work through that or if I would go, being honest, try to get my own little lick back. I would hope that I don't. I'm trying to identify with what a lot of women think of. I would hope that I don't. And then
as in, like, let me hurt him back because he did it to me.
I'd be so crushed. And I'm naturally a pistol. And so, when you pull the trigger back in a pistol, what comes back out. So I would need a lot of help to get through that pain. It would trigger the abandonment in me, right? The abandoned little girl that I've worked hard. She's so healed and happy now. And so I'd be mad at him because you've awakened her. And I've, to your point, done all this work to heal her. And here you come. Lisa, I'd be like, I'd go from hurt to mad to rage. I would go through all of those different emotions. And that would require for me to need my space. How long, I don't know. And then I would sit down and continue to have a very transparent, heart-to-heart conversation with him. With, what do you need? How often do you believe this is going to happen? Where are you mentally? Do you really want to be in this thing? Do you love her? Is she important? I'd want to know all that. See, I have to know all of this so I can understand if I have the capacity to love you at the level that you need to be in this marriage healthily. And I'm not sure if I'd ever be able to be the same. Now, I might be better, but I know that I wouldn't be the same, if that makes sense. So we'd have to learn how to reprogram loving each other, because now he'd have to learn to love a woman who sometimes my resentment might get the best of me and I might say some things that are gonna below the belt. Can you love me while I'm hitting back sometimes? Because I won't be able to always regulate. Can I love you when you're on a business trip and I don't trust you? Because deception's deception, right? Can you love me through my insecurity that you obviously created, inflaming? The deception of cheating dismantles is all these pieces, right? I mean, falling apart. And two people have to be willing to pick up every piece and say, so what does this one mean now? What does this one mean now? And when we piece it together, what does that mean for us? Can we do this? Do we have to get to a place of eclipsing and saying, let's do enough work to where we can act like it never happened? See, we have to.
Do you think that's healthy?
No, not at all. I think that's where depression is breeded. Suppression breeds depression. And no one's worth suppressing for depression. But I do think that it becomes a very hard relationship to navigate. So I see why some women say, just don't even tell me, I don't want to know. Because it becomes so hard to navigate once you know. You are only responsible for what you know.
But God, what is that doing to your self-worth? And again, maybe I'm naive right now, but like I'm just saying, like, there's no fucking way I would say to my husband, just don't tell me. No fucking way. Like the idea that every time he's out of the house, oh God, if he's with another woman, would erode my self-esteem to the point where it would be so rusty, it would like just evaporate.
100%.
Do you think women can still have self-worth? God, I really hope I don't. I'm not looking to trigger women. I'm just being very authentic in my question.
100%.
Do you think a woman can still have self-worth and still say to their husband, if you're cheating on me, I don't want to know?
Do I think she can have self-worth and say that? I think that her worth is being placed in the actions or behaviors that he does or does not make, which means her self-worth becomes codependent on what he does or doesn't do. Because what she's saying is, I don't want to know because if I do know, I don't want to feel the impact of it because I don't trust myself either to be able to navigate that space. That's back to that lack of power, lack of self-worth. Or I don't want to know because I've learned being in the bubble that I create, this fairy tale that I created, has always been better than any reality that I've experienced. And so I want to keep myself in this bubble because reality has always been a heartbreak for me. And when you talk about broken women and you talk about abandoned women, women who have been neglected or abused as a child who grow up to not have a victimized narrative, but have been victimized, they have to create a fairy tale for them to survive those things as a young child. This is why I say broken women choose broken men, because they don't want to see the brokenness in them. They are seeing the reality they've created that keeps them eclipsed because they want to be, because as a child or as a young woman, reality never worked for them. So why do I want to see your reality? I can live in your brokenness, because living in your brokenness allows me to keep what? My fairy tale bubble and my fairy tale world that has allowed me to survive my entire life. So I choose what I need to enable my fairy tale world, because reality is hard.
You're breaking into something actually in real time. I'm having this epiphany. When I married my husband, I gave him immediately 2 non-negotiables, like up front, like, I'm just setting you up for success, babe. If you hit me or if you cheat on me, I won't allow you even to explain for 1 minute. The second either of those happen, I've packed my bags, I'm out the door. You'll never hear from me again, ever. Now, I said that to set him up for success.
Yep.
To know that, hey, I get some women do forgive.
Yep.
I'm not that woman.
Come on.
Also, I won't let you explain. Now, part of it, I think, comes from weakness. I worry if I let him explain, I'll be convinced. I worry that if I don't make it a non-negotiable, that I'm the woman living in the fairy tale with the blinders. It just hit me. That I think that that's why I did it, because I know my natural inclination is the fairy tale, is the forgiveness, is the belief, is the trust. And because that's my natural inclination, and I know it won't serve me long term, because I know myself that if he cheats on me, it will break me for the rest of my life. I've made it a point to make the non-negotiables to prevent me from defaulting to my weakness.
Yeah.
That is like a total light bulb moment for me.
Aha moment.
But I always thought it was because I was strong.
It.
Not actually because it comes from weakness. But it's interesting.
But those both could coexist. And first of all, thank you for sharing that, because that was such a real introspect moment that a lot of women have, and it becomes this internal struggle of, well, which one is right? In the event, God forbid that ever happens, infidelity was to take place in your marriage, and you said, you know what, I know I said it was a non-negotiable, I know I said I was leaving, but damn, I want to stay. I would never tell that woman to beat herself up because she wants to stay. See, I think as a woman...
And sorry, one more question then. So you wouldn't think, hey, look, you made it a non-negotiable, now you're actually negotiating. Where does that then end up?
I think with women, we need to more hold space for each other and less judgment. I think that for you to say non-negotiable is equally okay as the woman who has said it, and she's 20 years in, she might be in her 60s, she's 4 or 5 adult children in, and she's like, shit, I'm not trying to leave at 65. See, everything is circumstantial. I don't think we should judge her because that's a different circumstance. There's women out there, Lisa, who need to know, how do I even stand vertical in, if you cheat on me, it's a wrap. So instead of judging her, not that you're doing that, but instead of us judging that woman and saying she's weak, how about we teach her how to have that same verticalness? How about we ask questions that say, what would make you want to stay with a man who cheats? How about we figure out how to help her navigate her emotions so that cheating, leaving, or staying becomes secondary to her self-love? So I think that 2 women can coexist with 2 different decisions in the same circumstance. That's why I always leave room to say I would be dismantled, I would go to therapy. I only leave room, Lisa, because I've been in my field 17 years. I've been around 42 years. And I've seen women say a lot of what they wouldn't do. and stay with a lot of things against what they thought would be their exit strategy, their red flag. Do I believe standing vertical in how you do and how I do? And listen, I'm not leaving you, but these are the things that will dismantle me to a place where even if I wanted to stay, you wouldn't want me there. Do I think that plays a big role in what life, i.e. men, know that they can or cannot do because we don't tolerate it? Hell yeah. I think a woman who stands vertical in certain things also creates that type of environment that pulls in people who won't play about her like that. Do I think that they play a role, back to what you were saying about accountability, responsibility, play a role in calibrating, choosing what they will tolerate? Hell yeah. So I don't think a man hasn't cheated on me because I'm beautiful than everybody else, because I'm this woman who's just so in demand. No, absolutely not. I think I stand vertical in who I am. They know certain things, even less than cheating, won't be tolerated. Period. No conversation, no negotiation. And so it has allowed me to not have to experience a lot of heartbreak and dismantling when it comes to relationships. But I also have a power of choice that I use the hell out of. If I see or smell or think or feel you are this kind that would manipulate, mishandle me, I'm not choosing you at all. Because anything you have done, you have the ability to do again. This is why I say women need to be more concerned about a man's results than his promises. Because I want to know, what have you done? Because even if you don't do it again, I know what you're capable of. Mm-hmm. And knowing what you're capable of tells me what I may have to deal with if I choose to. So no, I love your epiphany. And you're right. You saying I don't want no explanation is you protecting yourself from the reality of what happened.
Oh, I know. I mean, let's just say it happened tomorrow. I've been with my husband for almost 25 years. So I know I would go from mad, upset, angry to, but what does it look like being alone? But you love him.
Okay, hold on. Look what you said. Okay. See, this is what women need to hear, because that's the reality of the internal struggle. See what you said? Mm-hmm. This is all I know, but I love him. Where would I go? I don't want nobody else. But you can sit here now as a woman who's been with him 25 years and haven't experienced infidelity. At least I'm thinking you haven't experienced infidelity.
As far as I know.
Right? And me as a woman who's saying, hell no, I'm not leaving my husband, but cheating is a deal breaker. As a woman who hasn't been cheated on, as a woman who hasn't been cheated on, of course, it's easy for us to skip down that brick road. But what did you just say? If it happened, I'd be 25 years. I'm in love with this guy. I don't want to leave him. What does alone look like? Can I be alone? Oh my. All of that doesn't mean you still wouldn't leave. Don't mean we still wouldn't get our butts and leave. But it does mean we'd have a whole, that's why I said I'd have to go to therapy. I'd have to process it. I'd have to figure out self. I'd have to figure out, what does this conversation, it wouldn't be this.
Well, I'm saying the opposite. I think it can be beautiful that you've got the strength to do it.
Hell yeah.
I just don't think I'll ever be able to forgive him.
But guess what? After you leave immediately, guess what you would sit in?
You're...
That stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Physically leaving.
I have to do the work, don't I?
Yes. Physically leaving doesn't negate the work.
No,
doesn't negate 25 years. Doesn't negate, you didn't plan for this.
That's a really good point.
And it doesn't mean you won't still leave, because again, like I said, I am very strong in my decisions. I am completely committed to myself. My commitment is a sturdy oak. I mean, I am the only person that can uncommit the commitment I made, because I stand very vertical in who I am. There's nothing nobody can say to make me waver from what I've committed to. But that same commitment I have to myself, I give to my friends. I give to my husband. I'll give to my kids. I give to my parents. That's why I say I'll be dismantled, because I'm gonna have to deal with the uncommitting to my husband. Because when I commit, I don't play about my commitments. I commit at a deep level, and it's about me reprogramming my commitment. That's what I'd be working on after I left an infidelity marriage. I wouldn't have to work on leaving you because I'm so in love with you, because once you cheat on me, you become a different man. That's my point. I was married to my husband who was committed to me, who was faithful, who was loyal, who was transparent, who I trusted, who I nested in, who I gave everything I had to. Now you are a deceiver, a manipulator, a liar, a cheater. So guess what? I'm not a broken little girl who has learned to love the latter, but you're no longer the former. This is why I say, can you stay in that relationship and learn to love the deceiver? We wouldn't be having to process falling out of love with so much our husband, who now showed to be a different man we fell in love with. We would have to be reprogramming our world, our commitment, what that looks like, our emotions, that resentment, and making sure that we don't take that baggage with us. Because I wouldn't allow that to affect how I move forward or how I date.
That's so powerful, because it comes back to the self-ownership. I can't control other people. If this happens, it's freaking shitty. But the thing I never ever want is for a woman to not realize her worth and her power because someone else took it from them. And so everything that the way you even just broke it down, it isn't about them and my love towards them. It is myself, the way that I see the world, my commitment. I love that you said that. That's so strong. So strong. Okay, people are going to look at you potentially and go, but it's okay for her. Look how strong she is. She's so brave. She's so confident. And as we talk about this subject, one of the things I've heard you talk about is how you would tell them from the get-go the expectations. Yeah. And I heard you say in the first week of dating a guy, I absolutely will tell them that I expect that at some point they're going to give me their passwords to their computers and their phones. I literally had to stop in my tracks.
It's access. I want my access. Yeah. Yes.
Dude, that's so strong and so ballsy. Talk to me about that and why it actually sets you up for success from the get-go, instead of you having to almost unwire a message that maybe you didn't, or maybe you gave.
So it is a direct setup for the non-negotiables you and I talked about, right? I always say I'm never leaving my husband, but abuse is not inclusive. I qualify cheating as abuse. It is intense epitome of emotional abuse. So when I say abuse, that couples cheating. I don't have to go down the inventory list, okay? But it's not, this is our first date or the first couple weeks we've been dating and I'm like, Lisa, password.
Give me a phone.
Right? It is, how do you feel if we decided to be in a committed relationship with having full access, a woman having full access? And what this sets up is you get to learn if you have an honest man or a transparent man. Honest men usually lie. I know that sounds so contradicting.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like an oxymoron.
Honest men usually lie. Transparent men don't. Because honesty is, I ask you a question, and you're telling me your truth. Transparency is, you're forthcoming. Babe, I was at the grocery store and I went to ask this guy, can he grab something from me? And then he turns and he's like, oh my God, you're gorgeous. And I look, babe, it was my first fiance. Can you believe? That's transparency. Honesty is him asking me, babe, did you see your past fiance at Ralph's? Oh, I did. Oh, okay. He didn't ask me anything else. So I need to tell him that we talked and he grabbed the beans up top for me and we had this conversation and who knows what I'm saying, it could be something innocent. That's innocent, but I'm just using innocence on purpose because transparency isn't about the big stuff. It's about we have an open, transparent relationship. Transparency builds trust. Honesty does not. Why do women allow men to access their body, but we can't access their home, their phone, their car, bank account, whatever is important to him, but you can access my body? But then once we get into year number 2 or 3 and this woman has a baby by this man, she ends up sneaking into his phone and finding out why she couldn't have access to begin with. Because she was with an honest man who she asked questions to, who gave her his truth. But if we're gonna build trust, why are we not transparent? Because if your truth is truthful, why is it that you have to give it to me? Why is it that we can't just hold space for each other in transparency? So for me, it's when we get to that space, would you be open to that? I've had guys say, oh, that would be a bit too much. That's a breach of my privacy. That's too much. And I respect that. But I also say, well, that is definitely a breach of my non-negotiables. So enjoyed our time. There's no need for a second date. I don't want to ever breach anyone's privacy. This is why I ask for access, because you're giving me authority. And I don't believe in disrespecting you and just looking in your stuff. I want you to want me and be okay with that. And so my point of saying that is, it's to your point of you telling Tom, these are the 2 non-negotiables. Not that he's even built in a way to cheat, but you laid that shit down from the beginning. You run these plays, contract is gone, bruh. It's gone. You ain't even on the sidelines. There's no locker room talk. Bye, find another team. I'm not playing with you. Password is accountability piece. It's, well, I want you to have access because 1, that's what intimacy is. We are accessing each other. 2, I'm not playing no games with you. I'm not playing about you. When I'm in this relationship, the last thing on my mind is to deceive you. The last thing on my mind is to have things separate from you. So at some point, commitment is also you're committing to building trust with me. And so this is not about looking through someone's phone looking for something, because women do that anyways. Listen, you don't have to be given a password. Women find the damn password. And I'm not a woman who is going to be in anyone's space, Lisa, not even his home, if I know he doesn't want me there.
Okay, there's a couple of scenarios that if you don't mind, I would love to throw at you in this realm. So I love that. I love starting the relationship off with the things that you really care about.
Yeah.
Like, don't waste your time. Don't wait 6 months to then drop a hint to see how they respond, so that in a year you can then actually say the thing and then you realize you're not aligned. Like, I'm so all for that. So number 1, let's say you say it to a guy who's had a girlfriend that just looked at his phone, looked at all his emails, like was very, very suspicious. Let's just assume for a second that the guy didn't ever do anything.
Yeah.
In that moment, he could have a response of like, they want access so they can spy on me.
That's so good. That's so good. So from a man's perspective, even a woman, where a man may want your password, even right? Better, and you're like, wait a minute, this was a red flag for me because I didn't have a good experience with this. That's where communication comes in. And you just say, hey, look, Lisa, I had a bad experience with that. And I will give you access because I do want this relationship and I'm committed to you. However, in addition to me being willing to meet that for you, can you just give me more information on exactly what does this do for you? And I don't mind 44522 is my password. Now, babe, can you just give me more information so I understand what is it that you plan to do with it? Is this something where you are gonna look through it if I sit it down, even though I have nothing to hide, right? Are you waiting for me to get in the shower to look through it? And I'm only asking because I just want to be comfortable because my past experience wasn't good.
Yeah, let's say the past experience, the boyfriend used it to manipulate you. Even worse, let's say they stole your money. Like,
Lord have mercy.
There's so many versions where a woman has trusted the guy.
Yeah.
Like, you give it, like, no problem, I get it, we want to trust each other. Here's my password. They're checking in on you. They've got maybe a tracking app these days. They've got those blind tracking apps. So you're saying, hey, look, you should feel your feels. You shouldn't shy away from them. You should let the person know, this is why I'm hesitant to give it to you. I want to trust you, but I've got past experience where this has been abused, and so we need to talk through this.
100%. 100%. And everybody has the right to be where they are and communicate to bridge my needs and your needs And how do we collectively create a win-win? This is not about control of, if I give you my password and we try this, let me tell you what my deal breaker is. The first time you go in it and you see something and you don't first communicate with me about it, but you either pop an attitude or it causes impairment in our relationship, babe, that's gonna trigger the bad experience for me. And either I may wanna not let you have access or that's gonna be a deal breaker. So is that cool? Can we agree to that? Because that person has every right to also say, wait a minute, what are you gonna do with my access? Especially in today's time. We got Apple Pay on there, Zelle, like you said, what are you gonna do with this access? And I do not suggest, y'all, that this full access thing happens in the first week or two. I don't suggest that. The conversation can happen. I am not advocating for you to meet a woman or a man and say, hey, it's been 2 weeks, here goes my keys to my house, car, and cell phone. I'm saying this access takes place when you and this person decide to be committed. Now, I'm not into casual sex, so maybe this is why it's easier for me to say this. But I am not being intimate with any man who hasn't committed to me. Commitment to me includes access. So you're not accessing my body if you're not committed to the things that also relax my nervous system, that also create a safe space for me. So I can't casually be in bed with you, enjoying sex, getting an emotional and physical orgasm, and I don't have this place of a safe environment that you've created for me. My body doesn't work like that. It won't activate like that. Thank God.
I actually heard you say something where you're like, hang on a minute, my body's priceless.
Priceless.
So but you want access to my priceless body, but you won't give me access to your Android.
Period. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like your cell phone is $500. My body is priceless. And let's go a little further if we're going to keep it real. Yeah. 99% of whatever somebody's doing is in their phone. So if there's nothing going on, what is the problem? Even on my end. Would I pick up the phone and just access it because I have the password? Absolutely not. And even the guy I was just dating, I still said, babe, hand me your phone. And you know what he did? Kept eating, watching TV. There was never a time where he was like, oh, well, everything okay? No, he just handed it. And let's do the math. We only put barriers or boundaries around things. We only keep things out that are what? A risk. So what is a risk in accessing anything about you that you don't want me to see? But you want to access my body, which is not just about my vagina. This is my temple. There's things that I can't heal from that you can give me by entering into my space. And we're going to compare that to access? Not doing it. Never going to do it. I will have full access, or we don't have to move forward on the date. Now, if you said not now, but if we get there, hell yeah. Shy, I'll give you all the access. We can go on date number 5, 10, 15 until we decide to cross that line of commitment and intimacy.
Whew, okay, geez, that was so good. Oh my God, that was so good. Okay, so if you were to suspect something, like something's just off, going back to what we were saying about the gut.
Yeah.
Something's not right here. Many women, and it breaks my heart because I think it just comes from insecurity, will just go and check the phone.
Even if they don't have access, they're going to check the damn phone.
Yeah. So what would you do?
Well, so I've been there.
Oh, you have?
Oh, I've been there, yeah, where I felt something. I would communicate. I've sat with, my guy and said, my spirit is in complete disarray. Can you help me figure out why? Because I operate from a place of transparency and trust. So I don't want to find nothing in the phone. I want it to be something you tell me, because whatever you tell me, I may not like. But if I can stand on, I can trust you, we working with something. So I don't want to look in the phone to find anything. I want to come to you and say, baby, something is off. Like my discernment is completely off kilter. What do you think it is? Help me. Because one, it brings us into our partnership that we're supposed to be in. It helps you navigate me which allows you to become more in tune and more plugged into me as a woman. And then it also helps me activate the transparency and the trust in you. And to your point of what you said earlier about you not wanting to hear something because it'll break your fairy tale ideology or this fairy tale world you created, transparency creates a prerequisite of a safe space for me. So what it does is it tells my mind that because this man is operating from transparency, as crazy as it sounds, I don't have the desire for some reason to then want to check the phone or do all those things because I'm going off of you are already forthcoming. So what more am I searching for? Now, if you're forthcoming, I have access, I've already accessed all this, and I'm still having questions and nothing has happened, then that is insecurity. Then you're operating from something deeply rooted in you that maybe you need to get in contact with and see how you can work that out. Because now you're self-projecting.
I've never heard of accessibility explained like that. And when I first heard you said it, I was like, well, that feels like it's being quite intrusive, and
it sounds like you're being insecure, or you're coming in with trust issues.
Yes, that's exactly how it sounds. So the way you just explained it is so beautiful, and I'm always trying to think about how do we build that relationship so that never actually becomes the truth to our dynamic, or that something we ever have to deal with.
Yeah.
Because when that does happen, it can literally break you, take away your confidence for the rest of your life. So I have a follow-up question now. Assume that you've done this work in the sense of you're freaking badass, girl. You just really are. You're so damn confident. No, seriously, just being around you, I feel more confident. So thank you for that. So you come in, you've got the strength. Even if you don't have the strength, just saying the words that you said, you've given the scripts already, is amazing. So let's say you do this. You've got all these non-negotiables. You know who you are. You know what you're looking for. You know what you'll accept and what you won't accept. You said that you're 42 and you've got these other non-negotiables. One of them is that you wouldn't date someone with kids. I love that you just know yourself. Like, other people will probably judge it. I just freaking admire and respect that you're a woman that can say, this is what I want and this is what I'm looking for. Fucking love that. I wish every woman was like you.
That's power.
That's
the power I'm talking about, ladies.
Absolute power.
Know what you want. Go get it. You have dominion and you deserve it. Period.
Well, so now I've got the follow-up question though. What sometimes happens, I'm not judging again, I'm just saying the truth. What ends up sometimes happening is people say, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. But then let's say you get older. You get to 45, then you get to 50, then you get to 55. And because of these maybe non-negotiables, you haven't found anybody that actually fits them. Sometimes what some women do is they start to shrink themselves. They start to remove the things they really care about.
Come on.
Because maybe they do dream, right? It comes from a beautiful place. I dream of having a husband. I dream of having a family. So it comes from somewhere super beautiful. But you start to shrink yourself. You start to shrink and take away all the things that you actually care about.
I find it actually happening more the opposite. When women choose the wrong partner, they start to shrink. Not only by choice, but by circumstance. Women who already settled for the wrong partner because they're afraid to wait for what God has already promised us, right? Faith is an action word. So how faithful are you if you can't wait for what's yours? They are the ones that shrink and dwindle. They're the ones that get of age, I find, from being in my field for 17 years, and they're going, husband, kids, no career, no sense of self, no group of friends. I'm 42, I look like I'm 60. Because of my stress, I have forced myself into perimenopause. Doc, I'm pretty fucked up. Where do I go? What do I do? Husband and I are like roommates now. So totally shrunk for the sacrifice of mother and wifehood, which is okay if that is something you're aware of you want to do. You were at-home mama for a while, right? You shared...
I was a stay-at-home wife, Yeah,
a stay-at-home wife.
I hated it,
For a
but
while.
I never once said that out loud because I was taught
There you go. Not to cut you off. Hold on.
No, please.
I hated it is already the extreme epitome of shrinking. Anything I'm doing that I don't like, I am shrinking to stay where I don't want to be. So I have to duck to be here. This is, I don't like it here. This is, I love it here. I love it here is standing in what I do and what I love, and I am big and I am all these, I love it here. I love it here is big, it's open. I hate it here is all of this. But that was in your marriage. You shrunk in your marriage. Watch this. I have yet to shrink in my pursuit of my husband because there was nothing about what I was doing that I hated, because I didn't make the choice. And not knocking you, okay? Because I understand you did it and it paid off. Y'all, you're doing your thing. But
if I could go back,
come on,
I would save those 8 years of my life. Of course I would, which is exactly why, why I started the show. Like, women never should ever freaking shrink ever.
And now I want to be very, very delicate with women who believe they don't have a lot of options or choices. A lot of women are praying and saying, God, please send me my husband, because there's something that they want to be filled, whether it's validation or motherhood or a partnership or everything's amazing in my life. There's just one thing missing. Missing already says deficit. My prayer to God is, I know we're getting up there in time, but I'm not rushing. I'm enjoying myself. I'm filled up, I'm topped off. But if it's time, I'll align because I'm ready. My other prayer is, thank you that you've allowed me to be of age, of experience, of wisdom, and now finally ready. Because now I'm giving my husband and my kids a mama, a wife who wants to do this, who wants to be here. Versus I became married and became a mother and I didn't have any idea of what it would take. Because as younger women, I can't distribute the weight. I didn't plan accordingly. Well, I planned. I came from very humble beginnings. My husband, he won't have to deal with my domineering, emasculating ways because I worked my ass off to make sure I respect and honor him and that I send and deliver messages from a space of love and peace. My husband won't have to worry about the dismantled little girl who comes up, and because she's in a space where she hasn't processed her pain, she is going to subconsciously, without awareness, implement that type of toxicity in our household. He has a wife that has done the work. So from my being in this field 17 years, I've heard more women say, I wish I would have waited. I'm not saying they wish they would have waited to be 40 or 50, but I wish I would have waited so that I can have more to offer myself and in turn my family, because I wouldn't have shrunk. I would have been a different mother. And this is going to be a hard one because so many women say this. I wouldn't have chose my same husband. Ooh. A lot of women say that. I said, you would have not? I would have not chose him. I would have not chosen had I reached more of my potential. Because a lot of times men are choosing for long term. Women are choosing for the season we're in right now. And when we outgrow that season, which most of us do, it's called evolution, we start to look and go, dang, I all of a sudden want more. I all of a sudden want different. Women are starting to become healthier. We are starting to become extremely powerful women. When I say power, not controlling, but power, women are becoming better wives, better mothers, and women are taking their time so they don't end up doing time in relationships that don't serve them. And I always wish for, and I say this about my kids, I say, I'm going to teach my babies that I'm not telling you to wait forever, because if you find love early on, and it just makes all that sense, mama is going to support the hell out of you, okay? But don't be in a rush to do it just to fill space that you haven't yet learned to feel on your own. And then once you get to a space of really being solid in who you are, you then choose the person and not the image. You choose the person and not what they can do for you in that season. I want you, not the season. I want you, not the status. So if I want you, that means, God forbid, but if we are in an alley in a trash can, I'm still gonna be laughing with you, liking on you, loving on you. Like, you're my person. You're not my destination, you're my person. And so if I end up doing time with you, it's time well spent. That is what a husband is. That is what a marriage is. Not as long as it's good, then we feel all right. I'm codependent on what this marriage does for me, not the person I'm plugged into. And the better question of what I'm happy I'm able to answer before my husband gets me is, what does he get and what do my babies get when they get me? See, women find out while they're married what they're made of. I think that it's more important for us to find that out in solitude. Because you got a lot of women who are in relationship, but they're in loneliness because they have no idea of who they are, because everything they've become is raveled up in the titles of being a wife and a mom. I know who I am. I know what my husband and kids are gonna get when they get me. And because I'm so sturdy in that, not because I'm better than anyone, but because I spent more time in solitude than I did in relationship, that won't waver.
I love this. Like, I love that it won't waver. Like, that's so empowering, so beautiful. I think the question I have, though, then is, where's the difference between being too picky and not wavering on your non-negotiables?
100%.
Because what ends up happening is I worry. And I'm just going to project. Obviously, I'm not saying that this is going to happen,
totally.
but let's just pretend.
Heck yeah.
You turn 50.
Yeah.
You turn 55. You said multiple times, my kids, my husband. So I assume that this is
Heck
a big part of what you
is.
really want.
Yeah.
But now let's say you get to 55.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, do you not waver? Do you worry that some people then do convince themselves that maybe I'm too picky?
See, I create what I want. Some people wait for what they want. I create that. What I mean by create is, like, I'm in my choosing stage. This is real life scenario. So what have I been doing? I've been putting myself around people who I know I may possibly want to choose. Before, when I wasn't in my choosing stage, I was just really building my career and really just liked companionship. I was honest about that. And there were a few men that I dated who I shared, we can have a good companionship, but as far as anything past that, I'm not, because I'm very honest, I'm transparent with that. They actually ended their relationship and said, I want to marry you. And so if I can't have that with you, I don't want a companion. I don't want a good time. Like, I'm ready to get married into you. And that wasn't where I was, right? So I didn't jump into that just because I want it when I didn't want it then. Because I'm creating what I want. And creators understand that anything that you start to create is going to come into fruition. That is what faith is. That is what power is. That is what conviction gives you. So a woman who is waiting is calibrating lack. She's also calibrating the essence of waiting. And so, yeah, the universe is going to make sure you can continue to wait. But the moment you stand in your power and say, wait a minute, I want someone now. So let me go to the social lounges. Let me go to the members only spots. Let me take a trip by myself up north or wherever you are. Let me get into these groups of social clubs. Let me get out of these all women groups. Let me stop taking all girls trips. Let me do things that put me directly in alignment with what I'm saying I want. Because what happens is now you're creating. Now you're like, I'm here. I want you and you. I want to go on a date. And I want to date you. and let's do it. Let's see if it works. And then you say, I'm in my choosing stage. And so what I'm saying is, because I'm creating, I will be married. I'm 42 now, be married at least by 44. But am I in a rush now? No. But it's because when you find yourself and you find the emotion that you're looking for, you become very healthy. So my prayer turned from God send me my husband, in my 30s, to God, whatever emotion that I'm looking for to experience from my husband, can you give it to me? Can you give it to me before he arrives? Because if you give it to me, and that only helps me not act, choose, or respond out of despair, because now I'm filled up. It also helps me choose the person, and it helps me not be codependent on him. Now, when I choose or when I have dated, I consciously open up space. I consciously make sure they still know that I need them, know that I want them. But it's not to the point, which is what we started this whole conversation about, that I'm having to give away power for me to be in relation with you. It's from the place of me standing in my power and going, because I want you in my space, I'm going to make space. And it's not from a place of codependency. And I had to develop into that essence. And a lot of women jump ship before that. And then they're in there swimming with sharks going, fuck, I don't have a life jacket.
I'm slowly bleeding to death.
And I'm waiting on my husband to throw me one. Mm-hmm. But the woman who stays on board and goes, I'm going to take swimming lessons. I'm going to learn how to work this life jacket. I'm going to take snorkeling lessons, put on the scuba gear. So doesn't mean that woman's exempt from trial and tribulation. It means while the life jacket is on, doggy paddling becomes a lot easier. And she can make it to shore in the event something goes wrong. And that is the beauty of preparation. So I always want women who are already married to prepare while you're married. What does that mean? Gain a sense of self. Learn what solitude is. See, solitude and isolation are two different things. Isolation breeds depression. Isolation is a form of deflection. Deflecting from what you don't want to face. Solitude is learning. Is preparation for whatever life may throw at you. And I think every woman, married, not married, trying to get married, relationship, confused, solitude becomes your best friend because it brings you closer to your best friend, and that best friend is really you. And when you become everything for you, you don't become independent, you actually become a better interdependent partner because you know how to facilitate. You have a backbone. You distribute weight. You actually become more graceful. You actually end up having more compassion. You become less judgmental. You love differently. You love openly. And the alignment is something that I only can describe as God's peace. And until you're in it, you won't really be able to experience the full bliss of what life has for you. My really good friend, Stevie Wonder, I said, in our friendship, I've learned more about seeing and sight from him, a blind man, than I learned from people who can fully see. Because his perspective on life is that of a creator, is that of a man who has a dream and he dominates it. Because we have dominion over what is ours. The Bible says it. It says you have dominion, you just have to possess it. Possess means I'm not asking for things because asking is a deficit. Possess means I'm taking, which is mine. And I got to do it on my terms, when I wanted to, without dogma, without societal constructs, and without shrinking.
Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, girl, oh my God, I haven't wanted this to end. You are a freaking force of nature, delivering truth. Thank you so much. Where can people find you and all the amazing work that you're doing?
_ Dr. Bryant is my social media. My website's drbryant.co, and that's .co. And then if you just Google Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, my book comes up, I come up, my teachings, my videos, my YouTube, and my talk show, which is Truth Talks. Season 2 is starting very soon. And so you'll be able to hear me be spicy and spit gems and do all those good things.
Well, thank you, girl. This has been such a pleasure and a dream. And like I said earlier, when I'm around other empowering, confident women, it helps me every step. And so this is why I started the show. Guys, this is why I started the show. This is why I literally, when I heard of Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, I was like, oh my God, get her on the show immediately. Because we can't do this alone. We are not able to, and we shouldn't. Collectively, if we can support each other, no matter what we're trying to do, can you imagine the world that we would live in? And so let's just even go back to where we started on this interview. One of the biggest things that I have noticed, no matter how confident a woman is when a guy, you feel like you can trust them and they go and they break your freaking heart and they betray your trust. Nothing I have seen has dented more women's confidence than that. So I am grasping at straws to find out how on earth we can heal ourselves, how we can protect ourselves, how we can build ourselves so that we can walk in our dominance like Dr. Bryant laid out for us today. Guys, please, please do go follow her. Let me know. Drop in the actual comments. What was the one thing that knocked you to your knees that you're going to start today? That's what this episode is about. Actually taking action, never sacrificing, never giving up who you are, standing in your worth, and freaking making sure that you are always, always being the hero of your own life, that you're not waiting for a raft, that you can save yourself. My homie, smash that subscribe button if you're not following. Follow me at Lisa Bilyeu. Until next time, be the hero of your own life. Peace. If the pain and heartbreak of being rejected is so hard to overcome for you, but you really, really want to become that freaking confident woman, then you got to check out this episode right here with Nona Jones. If you've been on a date, let's say, and things go really well, and then he ghosts you,